We're at the site of the stairs in which Laurel and Hardy used in The Music Box, their 1932 film in which they won their only Academy Award. In that film, they took a piano and lugged it up the flight of stairs several times.
It has everything that comedy needs, and all of it so efficiently done. It certainly is the best of their short subjects, because there's not a wasted second in it.
Would you gentlemen please let me pass?
Why, certainly, ma'am. Why, just a moment.
In all their films, they're incredibly aspirant. You know, there's no film in which Laurel and Hardy, their aim is to do nothing and have an easy life. You know, they want to have an easy life, but go about it in the most complicated way.
The way they do slapstick is very contained, very clever, and very serious. You know, when they're shifting that piano, it's a real job which they're doing for them. They're not kind of showing off for the camera. This is something that they're doing for them. And when it runs away, it's a real problem. And as a kid, you're sitting there, oh no, what's going to happen?
It was 1932, and Stan and Ollie were now the undisputed kings of comedy, releasing ever more popular films for a global audience. Hal Roach hit upon a simple way of expanding their international audience. By reshooting each film scene for scene in a variety of different languages, with Stan and Ollie reading their lines phonetically from cue cards.
Yes, eso. Una carta. ¿Qué clase de carta? Registrada. ¿Quién la manda? Creí que ya no querías. Que te hablase más.
They would have a dialogue coach who would recite the lines, and Stan and Babe would, on a blackboard, make their version of it, and giving the Spanish or Italian, whatever it is, in their own tones.
¿Cómo? Sí y no. Es y no es. Es y no es. Ajá. Y Me estás poniendo nervioso. A ver esa carta. No.
The translation of Laurel and Hardy films into different languages also meant they were known throughout the world by very different names.
In Sweden and Norway, they're known as Helvan and Halvan. In Hungary, Stan is Pan. In Poland, Flippy Flap. In Romania, Stan and Bran. In Portugal, O Buka and O Estika. In Greek, Xanapol and Ashnoi. In Egypt, El Tikin Uel Rufain. In Israel, Hashaman ve Haraze. And in Turkey, Sishman ve Zaif. And I remember during the war, like Neapolitans crying out, they'd call out to somebody who they thought was a bit of a fool and say, "Way, Walio, Walio."
Laurel and Hardy was kind of like a family favourite in our house. Because my parents and my uncle had seen Laurel and Hardy films before they came to this country, I was kind of brought up with the Laurel and Hardy thing. It was that kind of weird thing of kind of my parents kind of telling me about India when I was born in London, but telling me about India and saying, well, you know, we had our family there, and you know, going up to the Himalayas is amazing, and the food is wonderful, and Laurel and Hardy were funny, and we kind of like, and it just became part of this ownership of being Indian. So I was always slightly surprised, and still am, when people don't say they don't like Laurel and Hardy, and especially Indians, because I just think, well, wait a minute, you're Indian, you know, it's part of your culture, for God's sake.
Despite the international success of their films, Stan and Ollie didn't realise how famous they really were around the world. So when, in 1932, Stan decided to take Ollie with him on his first return visit to his family in Britain, they were completely unprepared for the reception that awaited them. they ended up turning their holiday into a theatrical tour.
There were the most amazing scenes that I only can compare with later years with rock concerts in the early days of the Beatles. The brig at the street in Leeds was packed outside. There was a queue round the block. A lot of people didn't get in. And it was just astonishing.
Oh my God! And the audience used to go potty. They were waiting for him, and as Ollie and Stan came on stage, it was hey! You know, really meet them because they were loved.
By the time they returned to the Roach studios, the film industry was undergoing a new change in direction, with feature-length films replacing shorts at the box office.
Never mind. You don't give me a chance to... Come on, you two. Come on, let's go. Get out of here. Come on, let's well, what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Ooh. Do that again.
The reason that Hal Roach wanted a change was simply a matter of marketing. He saw that short subjects were on the way out, and the real future in cinema going was going to be in the double feature. So he wanted his comedians in feature-length films or nothing.
Stan and Ollie's move into features saw them embrace a range of styles, from costume drama to western to operetta. Though their feature films were more heavily scripted, Stan and Ollie continued to improvise whenever they could.
With the feature-length films, they needed more in the way of formal scripting. But even then they could improvise because, as an example, when they did one of their operettas, Babes in Toyland, they had a young actor, Henry Brandon, playing the villain. And he got onto the set, and this was a very expensive feature film. You'd think they'd have everything prepared in advance, but no. On the set, Stan Laurel says, OK, look, we're going to do this. You do this, babe. Henry, you go over there and do this. And right, off we go. And Brandon was rather puzzled. He just said to Laurel, aren't we going to rehearse? And he got the reply simply, do you want to spoil it?
Thank you. Come on, we'll be late for work.
Despite being Roach's biggest stars, Stan and Ollie, unlike Chaplin, were still only paid a flat wage, to Stan's constant irritation and Roach's obvious benefit.
I met Hal Roach when he was 100, who was their producer, who, we know where the money went.
At one time I had trouble with Hardy, and I told him he was, I had canceled his contract, and I knew he wasn't going to let me cancel his contract.
He also had fiendish contracts with them that overlapped. Stan's contract would run out in October and Ollie's would run out in January, so what were they going to do?
It just seemed that somehow or other they should try greener fields.
And after reuniting for two more films that came out in 1940, A Chump at Oxford and Samps at Sea, I think just about all concerned were willing to call a halt.
The decision to leave Roach may also have been hastened by the expensive alimonies Stan and Ollie had begun to pay out.
They were both enormously fond of women, particularly Stan, who got married endlessly and was an amazing Lothario.